The Treaty of Versailles was a peace treaty at the end of World War I that was imposed on Germany by the Allied powers of Britain, France, and the United States. The First World War was a major conflict that lasted from 1914 to 1918. It was fought between the Allied and Central powers, with much of the fighting occurring in Europe and the Middle East. It ended with the armistice on November 11, 1918, when Germany formally surrendered. The Versailles Treaty was signed on June 28, 1919. The signing took place in France in the Hall of Mirrors of the Palace of Versailles. While over 20 nations were involved in establishing the terms of the treaty, the negotiations were largely driven by the three main Allied nations of Britain, France, and the United States. Each leader of the Allied nations had their own goals during the negotiations. For instance, Prime Minister David Lloyd George of Britain sought to punish Germany for its role in the war. Also, he wanted to prevent the spread of communism into a post-war Germany. President Georges Clemenceau of France also sought to punish Germany for its role in World War I and prevent Germany from being able to wage war again. Finally, he argued in favor of France obtaining war reparations. Alternatively, American President Woodrow Wilson did not support the idea of punishing Germany. He argued instead for preventing a future European conflict, which he explained in his famous 14 points. The Treaty of Versailles was made up of 440 different terms, with most focusing on punishing Germany. Some of the most significant terms imposed on Germany included: it lost territory in Europe and its overseas colonies. It was forced to make war reparation payments. Germany was forced to limit its army, air force, tank divisions, and navy. It was made to demilitarize its territory that bordered France to the west. It was made to accept the war guilt clause, which meant that it was to accept blame for World War I. The Treaty of Versailles had several impacts. Economically, Germany suffered hyperinflation in the years after World War I. In general, hyperinflation is when a currency devalues at a rapid rate. For Germany, this resulted from printing too much of its own currency to pay off its war reparations. This situation had a devastating impact on the people of Germany. Politically, the Versailles Treaty and its impacts led to the rise of German dictator Adolf Hitler throughout the 1920s and 30s. This was partly due to German anger over the conditions of the treaty, including the payment of reparations and the war guilt clause. Historians consider this to be one of the main causes of World War II.